And I'm back. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Watch on my reviews. This is your boy James, where I am here to give my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. It's not gonna happen this video, but that's all right. We'll live to fight another day. Joining me is my co-host, Mrs. Best. Y'all say what's up to her.
Hello, welcome in. Like, comment. We hope you share and subscribe.
Yes, subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to Mrs. Best. Her information is in my description box as well as in the chat as well. Any reviews or recaps I don't cover on my channel, we cover on Mrs. Best channel. Today we have a full roster of videos. Loving hip hop, Atlanta and Miami, and also Mrs. Best is going to be doing the Valley because your boy got called into work early, so I got to get my ass up out of here pretty soon here. And while you're subscribing to us, please subscribe to Shana's channel. She is covering Real Housewives of Atlanta and the Never Ever Mets. So please go ahead and subscribe to her as well. Catch those videos and be sure to tell Shana James sent you. So, y'all, Love and Marriage Detroit was boring as hell. I feel like we ain't talked about shit. So I'm going to try to make this as entertaining as possible. But forgive me if I fall short. So, the episode picks up that everyone is showing up to the hotel booking that Christina has because Christina is a brand ambassador, so she gets she has some free stays for the year. So the first one that she's doing, she decided to include all of the cast couples. So the people that show up first are the Thompsons, which is Antonia and Dr. Minnie Mouse, and then we have Bravo and Lakeitha, and then Colby and Russell. They show up first. So at this point, Christina is giving them all of the itinerary of what they'll be doing. They'll be having dinner. They're going to be doing some other things in Venture. She can't quite say what they're doing in total because one of those events centers around Colby and giving her a little sprinkle for the baby she's carrying, that she has attitude about. So the other couples notice that Marcel and Kimberly, the Dobines, are not there yet. So they're a little concerned because they're supposed to be checking in. So Dr. Minnie Mouse calls Kimberly and says, "Hey, where you at?" And Kimberly sounded very distraught. She was like, "Oh, I'm going through a lot right now. I just have a lot going on." And they were like, "You sound like you got a lot going on." She goes, "Yeah, I will be there shortly. I'm sorry I'm late." And we'll get to what happens with them in a minute. And so they were like, "Okay, well, they're on their way." So Dr. Minnie Mouse says, "Well, is there anybody else coming?" She's alluding to somebody, but we don't know who she's alluding to. And so she finally lets out of bed. She's talking about Chelsea. Will Chelsea be joining them? And from our understanding and what Christina confirmed, Chelsea is not married and does not have a man, so she will not be here. And she goes, "Oh, okay, because I didn't appreciate what she did at Anthony's little podcast, and so and I heard about what happened and everything." And even Lakeitha was like, "Why are we talking about this? And why do you have so much animosity towards Chelsea? Like, it does not make sense."
You on somebody else's trip, and that's how you started. If that was a concern, you shouldn't have fucking came. Like, we getting tired of y'all.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better myself. Because at the end of the day, you know that your husband started with that lady first. And he's catching and he caught a whole lot of heat for that shit too. Because it was out of nowhere. It was almost as if they used to fuck back in the day. And he ended up with your ass. That's what it gave to me. But I could be wrong. And I don't really care one way or the other because it's like I don't want to give Antonia the time of day. I just don't. So everyone kind of goes to, their rooms and everything. And um we focus in on Dr. Minnie Mouse and Antonia, and everyone has a nice room. Well, all of them, almost everybody has a nice room. But they open up their gifts, their little trinkets, and they have a bottle of champagne. And Antonia mentions to Dr. Minnie Mouse how Anthony was talking about the corks on her wine and how they're not good corks or anything. And she feels a way about that. She does. She was like, Anthony's always throwing digs, and I mean not Anthony, Brandon. Brandon's always throwing digs and everything, and I don't like that. That's so disrespectful, and he just never respects anything. And I'm looking at Dr. Minnie Mouse like this. Take that as feedback and go to your QA team and have them test it to make sure it works instead of you getting your feelings about that. Because yes, it was shade, but also in all seriousness, because I do work for a beverage company, that is something you need to investigate because that can have ramifications later on that you don't want to pay for. So if there is any truth to what Brandon is saying, you need to make sure your QA team is ahead of that, Dr. Minnie Mouse. Don't be playing and getting in your feelings because that's some shit that you really look serious. But Mrs. Best, how did you feel about Antonio being messy, that normal messiness that he is, and telling his wife that?
I don't like these people. I feel like ever since I saw him crying season one in that boat, like a big ass baby, I said, oh no. Oh no. He's so self centered. He's such a girl. Like he reminds me of a spoiled Sadiddy girl off of Clueless. I'm sick of it. You're on somebody else's trip. I want them to act right. That's all I have to say. I can't fucking stand them. You muted.
Oh, I was doing good for such a long time, and now I got back in that habit again. Yeah, I don't like. I'm just they get on my nerves, and it just. Ugh. So the Dobites finally get there, and Kimberly was like, my son had, health issues. He was sick, and we tried to get him to the emergency room, and then our hoopty wouldn't start because it's so cold, and I'm just like,
They ain't as rich as they want us to think they are.
right? Because why the hoopty didn't start? Because it was that cold. Okay, Kimberly. Okay. And y'all don't get on me about me saying they got a hoopty. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Like, it is a reasonable thing. I know that in cold batteries do die. I get all of that. So it's very valid. But I'm sorry, Marcel give me, he drive a 1998 Cadillac Eldorado. He do. I'm just sorry. I could be wrong and I don't care one way or the other. But
He looked like he do. And that's probably why she was overwhelmed, but he seemed cool, calm, and collected. I still don't believe this man has a job.
But he do. He give me that. He drive, the long Cadillacs, that very long one.
Yep. The one where if it hits your new car gonna be totaled, but they'll be all right. Yep. Yep.
He do. He give me that. I don't know why, but she said the car would start. I'm just picturing like a 1998 Cadillac, them long ones. The
And
one that
him arguing, them arguing together. I thought you said you was warming the car up. You could tell they was just cussing each other out.
yes, like now we got to wait 5 minutes because as soon as you press that gas pedal, that car go cut off. I promise you. Yeah, yes, and that's what they give me. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really not. I'm really not trying to be mean. But that's what when she said that, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Y'all had some old ass car that probably got two keys still, and y'all was still up there trying to get to that place, and that car was not going nowhere. Damn, nah, that was funny. Like, I'm sorry, I had to laugh. I wasn't laughing at the baby. I was laughing at the fact that she actually admitted. I would have never admitted that on camera because it gives people like me the opportunity to shade y'all in a way where if it is true,
All she had to say was her baby was sick and the world would have accepted that. That's how you know something really did happen with that car. That's how you
I
know.
feel like it was just the car. I really do. I feel like she used the baby to soften it. I feel like, yeah, he didn't warm the car up like he was supposed to, and they had to wait an extra 10 to 15 minutes for that shit to warm up. Because we all have been, y'all. I have been there. I had a 1997 Pontiac Bonneville. And yes, that car had to warm up. That car was not nice to me in cold weather. That car said, "You crazy as hell. You think, oh, you going anywhere right now? You better wait."
What the T is if this was any other show, production would have helped them get there. Carlos, you couldn't send a Uber X
I'm just saying.
for these people, a Lyft, something, Waymo, anything, Carlos? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm still laughing in my head. Sorry, y'all had to give you a minute because I'm about to bust out laughing again. But yeah, so they get there and it's dinner time, and Christina had this joke where she wanted the men to show up in the same sweater because Brandon and Bravo had this moment where they had the same sweater at the last dinner they were at. So Christina thought it would be funny if she told the ladies to buy this exact sweater and make sure the men wear it. So the men are getting there one by one, and they're looking at each other like, what the hell? Because they all have on the same sweater. The moment Bravo got there, he was like, oh, hell no. I knew I was being set up because Lakeitha never buys my clothes. So I knew the moment she did this, I knew it was something. And I said, damn, Lakeitha, you don't mind? Okay. I'm one of those men too, so I get it. But like, damn, the way he said it, it was like, can you be any more dismissive to this lady? Like, it's like, I'm sorry. Am I the only one that's picking up on this energy, or Mrs. Best?
There's something in their marriage that they're not telling us. And I've been saying the so called trauma she claims she has from her dad leaving and not coming back because he's passed. I understand trauma pretty well, have a degree, I'm studying to further it. And I don't know, it doesn't seem like the way that she's reacting to him is based on trauma. It seems like she's reacting to him based on a trauma that he caused her, not her dad.
I agree because it was something about the energy. It's like because I'm trying to buy the dad storyline. I really am, but it's certain things that he says that makes me feel like no, Lakeitha, I'm not buying the whole dad thing. I feel like he did something he had no business doing, and you don't want to look like no fool on no national TV, which I get. I totally get that, but at the same time it has to correlate and make sense for people like me who actually listen to what you're saying. Because her trauma can be real, y'all. I'm not saying her trauma is not real. But what I'm saying is that there is probable solutions that she can do to reassure her mind. And one of those is to go with him when he goes to work. Because the baby, you got them. I'm sure you have mom, you got auntie, you got sisters, you got cousins. Somebody can watch them damn kids sleep at the
I
house.
don't think he wants her to go with him to work.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. Because I feel like he out there, wow. That was my whole point. But I'm just saying, for Lakeitha's mind, she could do that. Or she didn't got to tell him she coming up there. She could just show up. I could just show up. And if he not there, hey, baby, I'm at this restaurant. Where you at? You in the back? Why are you not here? Oh, okay. Well, hey, look, people complain about food. Bring your ass here because people complain about some shit. I would do that. I would. Just to make sure things are in place. I would. I would say the business fucking up. I just showed up here and it's crazy. But Lakeitha gives me one of them. She let Bravo lead. So that's why I feel like, so when he said that shit, I was like, yeah, there's something wrong here. I'm picking up on that. So the dinner then turns to, everyone talking about the shade of, Brandon talking about the wine. And what he was saying was it was a retaliation of Anthony always shading me about something of my business. And I just told him because he's proudly boasting that he spent 250,000 on your wine venture. And I told him maybe he should have upped it to 275 because those corks, need some work. And she goes, that is so shady. Like, it's so shady. It just speaks to the element of your character because, with the whole Chelsea thing, and you bring her to the podcast and everything. I heard she was rude. I heard she was, obnoxious. And she has a reputation around Detroit about being ghetto. And I'm looking at Dr. Minnie Mouse and I said, no, you didn't.
You all overbite having Uncle Tom, thin eyebrow wearing ass bitch. You want to call another black woman ghetto on television talking about you heard in Detroit. Y'all don't even live in Detroit. Y'all confirmed that in the first season when your kids was being bullied, dealing with racial shit, and then you want to go and call somebody else ghetto when as quiet as it's kept, your husband acts like the little gay boys that be in the hood, starting
I understand.
arguments with women, aligning with the women. Anthony has his man movement. He still can't really tell us what it does. He went to Atlanta for months to have this big movie career. That ain't went no fucking where. He's still here in Detroit arguing with Chelsea. I mean, I think it's baffling that Latoya even tries to say anything about the situation because I would be looking at my husband like, why does this woman irritate you so much?
Exactly.
If
That
we're
is
not
it.
supposed to like the Smiths, then why are you so amped up to have Christina on your podcast and Brandon at some of your events? Like, what's really good? I'd be looking at my husband like a simple ass bitch, acting the way that Anthony act. I don't get
Right.
it.
Exactly, because it's weird. So Christina says that she has not had any of the experiences that the Thompsons have had with Chelsea. So then Colby chimes in. She goes, "So you've never heard anything that alludes to what Dr. Minnie Mouse is saying?" And I said, "Colby, once again, why do you keep inserting yourself when it comes to Chelsea, Dr. Minnie Mouse, and Christina's? Because you could just sit there like the rest of everybody else."
Why don't you sit there and ask God what your next method of birth control will be? Because clearly you don't like having kids and you keep having them. Why don't you figure that out? Figure out your anger and disdain in your own relationship and in your own pregnancy instead of putting your business into other people's business and then getting mad when they address you and blaming it on your pregnancy. Do that. Please, Chelsea. I can't stand Chelsea or Colby, whatever the hell her name is with the K. Can't
Yes.
stand her.
I just feel like it was unnecessary for Kobe to chime in. And I just feel like it's clear you don't like Chelsea, which is fine. But at the end of the day, I'm tired of you chiming in and then getting mad when someone holds you accountable. That's why I wasn't mad at Chelsea when she got Kobe together at that ring shop, because that's where it all stems from. Is that y'all are calling her ghetto based on that altercation y'all had at the ring shop, and Christina wasn't there. So it was kind of like y'all are trying to pinpoint her being a problem when at the end of the day, it was Anthony who called her a bird first. We would not be here in this situation had Anthony not been disrespectful, because that lady didn't do anything to Anthony. Like, it was that episode that made me stop recapping this show in the first place. Because I did not like and I will not support a black man downing another black woman and having some elitist, narcissist ass attitude against her just because she's holding him accountable for words that he said. I'm not here for that, y'all. I'm telling y'all. And I see what Anthony and Dr. Minnie Mouse, you a damn fool. That's why I call you that, because every time he is giving this assertion of this lady and alluding to her attitude and stuff, you just sitting there just smirking instead of tapping him on his leg and say, "Hey, don't be disrespectful." Yeah, I'm watching you, Dr. Minnie Mouse. That's why I call you that, because you need to speak up when this shit happens, because it is way too weird for this man to have such a hard on for that lady the way he does. It's weird. So, anyways, y'all, Russell changes the subject. They start talking about family and this and that. And I said, "Carlos, y'all ain't got shit else to talk about. I am sick of this same recycled ass conversation. I'm just sick of it." So it ends with Brandon pretty much saying, that he didn't know Christina well enough when they got married, and they had to go through all of the troublesome in their marriage together until it got to a point where it got too much for him. And he told Christina that he wanted out because at the moment that he was in it, it just was too much for him. And it wasn't until he was actually away and away from his kids and everything that it made him realize that he needed to be more and he needed to step up. That was very nice and very well said, but also it was a cop out. And for Christina to sit across that table and cry and not really pick apart that conversation, like, I'm hoping she's watching it back now and realizing that actually was more disrespectful than it was enduring. Because what it tells me is that, you married me as a ploy to get what you wanted. And then when you got what you wanted, you realized you had to stay in it because you would look crazy after you got what you wanted to end the marriage. And then you end up doing that in the first place by saying things got too tough. Because what got too tough? What was it that she did that got too tough other than hold you accountable? Because that first season, you were trash. If we were using that as the example that pinpointed your marriage. So I would have been disrespected. Mrs. Best, how did you feel about that?
I'm glad you said that because I would have felt disrespected either. You already have publicly embarrassed me. You treat me like shit on TV. You knew that I was a preacher's kid and that I valued be not having sex before marriage. So because you couldn't fuck me, you decided to put a ring on my finger and make my life miserable after giving me 2 kids and adding baggage to me, because kids are a blessing, but they also add baggage and make it harder to date. So I think it's just a testament to how low Christina's self-esteem was within herself, you know. It's nice that he finally had the, view of, I did this wrong, but it seems like even staying with her and her staying with him is more for the kids and their individual commitment to God versus their commitment to each other in a marriage, is what I got from it. So I hope it works out, but I don't think it will. That's all I have to say.
I don't think it will either, because to me, as I said, I hope she watches this back, because maybe she was in the moment, but that actually sounded so disrespectful. And I would have been at that table like, ooh, like y'all would have saw my face as like, I can't believe this man just said this. But okay, so we then end the night with the dinner and everything. Everyone goes to their respectful place. We had this really disgusting scene with Marcel and Kimberly in this very tiny ass room. Christina, you ain't shit for putting them in that room. Everybody else got nice ass rooms, and the Dolbines got this little corner room.
I mean, the room to me didn't look no different from everyone else's. It looks like that was the hotel's setup. I don't think she has control of how the rooms are assigned, just the type. They all look the same. But if she did intentionally put them in a smaller room, I don't blame them. I'd also like to say, before you move on from the dinner, I did appreciate Kim Dobai standing up for Ash. What is her name? What is that girl's name that they don't like?
Chelsea.
Yeah, I appreciated Kim Dobine for standing up for Chelsea, even though she's not the coolest with Christina, and just being like, I haven't had a bad experience for her. Because I thought that was important, because it shows that Anthony and Dr. Minnie Mouse are the type to, if they have a problem with you, they're not just going to be like, oh, this person messy, so on and so forth, like how all of us would. They're going to try and ruin your reputation. Y'all just said that all of Detroit knows not to trust her and don't like her. But then you got Kim Dobine and her husband here, as well as Lakeitha and Bravo, vouching, saying that this person isn't that bad, but she will give you hell if you get into an issue with her. So just wanted to point that out.
Oh, I appreciate it, because I did remember that, but I'm like, I don't think Chelsea's a problem at all. I do think, however, in the um, podcast, she could have been a little bit more professional. But at the end of the day, it's Anthony, so I don't expect much from that, because I would have it for him every time I saw him too. But at the end of the day, I did appreciate that too, because they didn't have to do that. But yes, I do appreciate it. Yeah, so we talked about the scenes there. I'm not going to talk about Kobe and Russell's little conversation, because I don't care, because I feel like Kobe is just beyond. So, is there anything else you want to add before we move on to the little sprinkle event?
No, you good.
Okay, so we get to this little sprinkle event. Christina has this idea that they should all wear a fake belly bump, to make Kobe feel better about where she is. Um, Christina actually and Kimberly show up first, because they had went to Kroger's, to the grocery store, to get those already made meat and cheese and cracker plates. I said, y'all cheap ass people, really? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Y'all could even, if y'all was gonna do this, y'all could have went to Subway and got y'all a platter of sandwiches. If y'all was gonna do all of this, but okay. So they're there first, and they actually have a good moment where they are talking, about the dinner last night, and Christina takes this moment to say that she really appreciates Kimberly, as Mrs. Best said, for speaking up and saying that she has not had a bad experience with Chelsea, and that if she really does appreciate it, she doesn't know where all of this animosity is coming from when it comes to the Thompsons, and why they have such a deep heart on for Chelsea. Like, it's so weird. And they are really bonding and connecting. They're laughing. They're talking about, their pregnancies. It was a real cute moment. So you can kind of see that their dynamic wasn't as toxic as Kimberly was putting it out there to be in the beginning of this season. Because if you had such a toxic relationship, you wouldn't have this much laughter, because you could tell they just picked up right where they left off before everybody else got there. So once everybody else gets there, and Kobe walks in, and when I tell you, this is gonna sound mean coming out of my mouth, but y'all just roll with me on this one. I feel like every time Kobe smile, it hurts. I do. Like I feel like every time she smiles, it actually hurts her face. That's why she doesn't do it. Mrs. Best, do you feel like that?
She's a miserable and ungrateful person, which is interesting because she was raised in Christianity, and you should be grateful even for the smallest things, the smallest blessings, especially a blessing as big as a baby, a husband that seems to be committed, ain't got no rumors of scandal. She's just, it seems like she is one of those people who thrives on negativity. Like she looks for negative energy, inserts herself into other people's drama, when most pregnant women would sit still and shut the fuck up. Hell, even Portia did that her season being pregnant on RHOA. Most pregnant women won't want to deal with it, but Kobe left and right. She just seems miserable, like a person who walks into a room and a dark cloud follows. You could tell that any joy is fake or for money as it relates to content that we see. So I don't think that's mean. I think that's a very astute observation. It's just the way she is. If you mad you pregnant with another girl and mad you pregnant again when you was willing to drop it low and bust it wide, like you don't know how nature worked, then I don't know. But yeah, I agree. She
Yeah.
causes problems and she's still trying to, you could tell Kobe's holding on to her beef with Christina from season one a little bit, just looking for any
Mhm.
opportunity to prove herself right in a situation that's been deaded. She got her apology. Christina did this nice event for her and she still just looks like she has a stank face. And for what? So I don't know.
No, and I'm so glad you pointed that out because I've actually noticed that too. It feels like there's this like unwanted tension that Kobe is bringing to Christina, and I see Christina really trying. I really do, and that's why I said I didn't like Christina at first, y'all. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I did not like her at first, and then she turned me around this entire season because I feel like she really isn't the problem. I feel like Kobe doesn't let shit go, and I feel like Dr. Minnie Mouse is playing. And I feel like Kimberly just wanted to have a reason to come on the show, so she was going to beef with the person who was the most obnoxious, which is Christina. So I feel like they all playing in her face, and I'm glad that she's not really giving them that energy, especially Kobe, because we called each other big sis, little sis. What the fuck happened to that? And I'm throwing you this event, and you still trying to give me arm's length. Like you really ain't trying to meet me where I'm at, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all because nobody should be trying this hard. If we're friends like this, I should not be trying this hard. I'm just gonna point that out there. But the little event was cute. They do little activities. They talk about motherhood, the struggles. We learn more about Kimberly's kids, and we learn, Lakeitha's situation. And that was pretty much it. Anything else you want to add before I move on?
No, that's sad, but no.
It is sad because we should have a lot more to talk about, but this is what it is. So we then move on to the guys. Russell set up for them to have like this walking exercise moment here. And Russell ended up having to go away. So it's just Bravo, Brandon, Anthony, and Marcel. So they're out there running in the 30-degree weather like some fools. And, Anthony is cracking jokes saying that Bravo and Brandon are dick riders. And I said, oh, Anthony. Oh, Anthony, 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 Antonia. This is why I call this man Antonia.
Says the person, and this is weird for dudes. Like my husband watched this with me and he was like, that nigga weird because most dudes don't care. They just hang out. Like dudes aren't really like females where we're like, oh, this is my specific best friend. Like they kind of hang out in packs, it seems, or alone. So it's very strange because Anthony's saying all of this about them being dick riders while it seems like he's jealous that he's unable to ride their dick or that they won't ride his. So nothing he says will matter. I still think he looks like a character that belongs on an animation could put together by Bill Cosby. And yeah.
That's a good segue. So Brandon is taken aback and was like, Why would you say that? Like, why would you? And like, come on, Brandon. You know Bravo always has your side. You know Bravo always speaks up for you when you're not right in a situation. It's like he always takes up for you. And I love Bravo. I do. Bravo's my homeboy. I said, Anthony, you full of shit. You are full of shit. Stop playing. The problem with Bravo, and I told y'all, he's intimidated by Bravo because Bravo has a lot of success in the Detroit metropolitan area that I don't feel Anthony has the same of. I don't. I don't feel like they are neck and neck in business endeavors. I don't feel like they're neck and neck in income. I don't believe any of that. I feel like Anthony wants to be where Bravo is, but he realized he can't do that because his business endeavors probably have not taken off in the same way. And I feel like Dr. Minnie Mouse is the sole provider in that home, or is the breadwinner, as most people would say. I do. I feel like it's her businesses that are keeping them afloat. And I feel like he gets to go out there and just dabble and dibble in whatever will bring them something. That's just my opinion. Because you are really weird. You are really, and I don't feel like Bravo realistically is always taking Brandon's side. I just think he could see his point of view. And I feel like if you would give him his, he probably could see yours too. But you are strange for doing that. Anthony, I'm watching you. So they then go up to, the room. I don't know whose room they were in. And Brandon wants Anthony to expand on the dick ride because he keeps making this comment. And Anthony, whatever I say is factual. I call things what it is. And I just feel like, when there's certain situations that come up and you in the forefront, I feel like Bravo always has your back. And that's dick riding. That's the definition of it. And I'm looking at Anthony like, oh boy. Sir, you are a lot.
It's funny because he says this person always having your back, that's dick riding. But I wonder, Anthony, if Bravo was having your back with everything, would it be dick riding or would it just be him being a loyal friend?
Inquiring minds want to know.
We would love to know. He think we stupid. Like him and his wife are really not likable. They're not. They're not. And I feel like in some ways, I feel like the reason Latoya is okay with his behavior is because it takes the heat off of them and having to discuss what's really going on in that hot mess of a marriage and household.
Yep.
Because in real life, no heterosexual woman is attracted to a man acting like this that call himself straight. And hell, even if you not straight, gay, trans, or whatever, don't nobody want to be with somebody that's constantly in drama, constantly starting drama, constantly looking for something to bitch about. Anthony be acting like he don't have people's phone numbers. Love to bring shit up at dinners and on trips, but don't want to say shit when he has the opportunity to the person. Irks me. You so mad at Chelsea, but you refuse to talk to her. You ready to call the police, had your bottom lip quivering and everything, as if that woman was a danger to your big ass. But now you want to keep talking about her. So I can't with Anthony. I cannot. He alone would make me like stop watching this show. I feel like if they were to remove Anthony, Latoya, honestly, Colby and her husband, and center some more couples around Brandon and Christina, we'd have a better show. Because while they're not the best example of a marriage at all or a relationship, Brandon and Christina, they at least have some sort of a storyline. And with Christina, we see that if she has an issue with the females, that she'll at least try and make it right with Colby. But you can't keep the cast the same, Carlos King, if you got one person trying and doing the right thing and participating for the show, and then you have another person who's just always looking for a problem, never quite accountable, complaining about happy things that people wish to have, and then you got another couple that don't want to talk about what's really going on. It's like it's not going to work if people aren't willing to receive what they ask for. So I'm tired of this whole fucking cast. I'm tired of this show. I'm tired of Carlos King and his bald head. I'm sick of it.
I mean, you talking about going in. Ooh, that was a word. Go ahead, Mrs. Best. But that was the episode, y'all. It really was not much of anything. It seems like next week's episode is going to be great because we then see in the next preview that Lakeitha confronts Bravo about sharing his location and he gonna muster around that. I can't wait to see if that conversation, because remember, I didn't like that. I didn't like that Bravo said, no, she can't have my location. Like, I ain't gonna do all that. And it was like, well, sir, she's complaining about your safety. And you would think sharing your location would give her some validation to her own trauma. So that way she feels better. But you don't want that. So that's what makes me feel like you bullshitting. So I can't wait to see that. So is there anything else you want to add, Mrs. Best, before we go ahead and end the live?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, we did that. That was easy. All right, so you guys make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought of the episode. Tell me what you think of Antonia, aka Anthony, and Dr. Minnie Mouse, aka Dr. Latoya. I want to know all of your opinions on everything. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you on Mrs. Best channel. Have a good one, y'all. Bye bye.